The New York Times says Jamal Khashoggi was murdered inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Turkish media have published pictures of what they say are the agents sent to kill him, but the Saudis insist he left the building. So what happened to Khashoggi? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Hoda Abdel-Hamid. On the afternoon of Tuesday, October 2nd, Jamal Khashoggi walked into the Saudi Arabian consulate in Istanbul. His fiancée, who was waiting for him outside, says he never came out. Now we know more about what may have happened. We have a lot to discuss with our guests, but first, this report with the latest from Stephanie Decker in Istanbul.
Turkish sources say these men arrived at Istanbul airport with a mission to either abduct or kill Jamal Khashoggi. They flew into Istanbul on the same day the Saudi journalist was due to return to the consulate to finalise some paperwork. They are suspected to have been inside the consulate when Khashoggi entered the building around 1:15 local time on the afternoon of the 2nd of October. A Turkish newspaper has published the pictures and the names of the 15 Saudi nationals that the Turks say were part of a so-called Saudi hit squad. The New York Times goes into further detail, quoting an anonymous senior Turkish official, saying Ankara believes Khashoggi was killed inside the consulate at the orders of the highest level of the Saudi royal court. Then gruesome detail that Khashoggi was killed within 2 hours of this moment, and that his body was dismembered by the Saudi team with a bone saw. In what seems to be a deluge of leaks, the Washington Post then divulging that before his disappearance, US intelligence intercepted communications of Saudi officials discussing possibly detaining Jamal Khashoggi. It is unclear whether he was ever warned.
I'm very surprised that one would confirm this by letting the information out. Now, the fact what has been intercepted is also notable because if true, and there now seem to be increasing disparate bits of information that corroborate or substantiate the other pieces of information, it would be a shocking act and a grotesquely glaring one, which therefore, for an intelligence operation, would be really incompetent to lure someone into your own consulate and then murder the person. And while you know that your entrances and exits are all being videoed, is astounding, really.
All this new information seems to be an orchestrated attempt by the Turkish authorities to ramp up the pressure on Saudi Arabia. No Turkish official has officially gone on camera and no evidence has been presented to back up those allegations. This is a story with major political sensitivities. Khashoggi's fiancée, Hatice Cengiz, is seen here waiting for her fiancé outside the consulate. And she has written in the Washington Post, the US paper Khashoggi contributed to, pleading with the US president to clarify what happened to her fiancé and asking the Saudis to release security camera footage. She says she doesn't want to believe that he's been killed. Stephanie Decker, Al Jazeera, Istanbul.
Pulp fiction, that's how a Turkish official is describing the Khashoggi saga. Well, to discuss more, we have our guest. Joining us from Washington, D.C. is Al-Ahmed, director of the Gulf Affairs Institute and a former political prisoner in Saudi Arabia. In London, joining us on Skype, Chris Phillips, the former head of the National Counter-errorism Security Office in the UK, and Sabah Al-Khozai, he is a lecturer at the City of Bristol College in the UK. Welcome to all of you. Al-Ahmed, let me start with you. The New York Times claims that actually Khashoggi was killed inside the consulate and that those orders came from the highest levels of the royal court. How credible is that for you?
I'm not sure yet about if he was killed or kidnapped. But it's true, it's very clear to us after the releasing of the 15 member, the names of this team, that two of them at least are personal bodyguards of Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince. So this is looks to me from looking at the names that this was not even an intelligence operation, because this is a hodgepodge of some bodyguards here and some doctor from the Minister of the Interior and some other people who even one of them works in the special forces in the army. So this was not an intelligence professional operation, and I think that's why they have a lot of evidence, and they didn't do a good job. But we don't know if this was a murder. I would assume this was more of a kidnap attempt that went wrong. If it did go wrong, but if it was a murder, then again, this is like what the Turkish government said came from Mohammed bin Salman. Absolutely, there is no doubt about that.
Well, it has to be underlined, as you said, that most of the information we have so far, which is day 8 since when Jamal Khashoggi went into the consulate, is coming to us through the media. We haven't heard any official version yet. But Sabah Al-Khozai, one fact is that there is a 15-member team that arrived from Saudi Arabia to Istanbul early in the early hours of the morning of that day, October 2nd. Another also route that came out today is that the Washington Post is saying that is citing U.S. intelligence services as saying that they had actually intercepted communications between Saudis discussing the capture of Jamal Khashoggi. Why is Jamal Khashoggi was such a concern for the Saudi royal family?
First of all, there is no fact at all from this all poor fabricated stories and intelligence, informations. The only fact is Jamal Khashoggi disappeared. Where is he? God knows. I hope and I pray to God that he is still alive.
When you say fabricated, what is fabricated? It's true that so far there is no official version, but why do you say it's a fabricated story?
Well, if you listen to me, if you let me continue, you will see what I'm going to say. I don't trust the Washington Post. I don't trust the New York Times. The same newspapers back in 1991. Before the invasion of Iraq, they have sexed up, exaggerated, prefabricated all the stories against Iraq, and even the Colin Powell theatrical play in the United Nations.
Okay, but let's talk about this case here.
Just imagine, let me finish, please. And back in 12th of August 2004, this is what happened. The Washington Post apologizes for underplaying WMD skepticism. They say that we were more concerned getting stories first than getting stories right. And their mottos at that time, we are going to war, why we are even
Sabah,
worried about all this
Al-Khozai,
contrary stuff. And exactly the same thing is happening now. The same thing is happening now.
How can you be sure of that?
Stories are fabricated. Because this is history.
Okay, now, we're not talking about then, we're talking about now.
Saudi Arabia, there is no history in Saudi Arabia kills or assassinates opponent or dissidents, except two famous countries, Israel and Iran. Saudi Arabia, no. How stupid is to kill a dissident or opponent inside the embassy? And the funny things, there are 20 to 30 people involved.
Well,
may I remind you, Hoda?
Certainly over the past few years, there has been many stories of people being detained and people being charged without any proof in Saudi Arabia. There's all these, there have been many stories lately. It didn't go as far as killing, but if I remember well, there was also... Yes?
No. Don't mix the issues, please, Hoda.
Okay.
Between internal and external affairs. Internal affairs, this is another completely different matter.
But Jamal Khashoggi is a Saudi citizen.
If you go to... Yeah, that's good. Okay. If you go to Google machine, searching machine, and put, any assassination or abduction in an embassy, you never see. There is nothing whatsoever. This is the first time. And from where? From Saudi Arabia. This is false. And 20 to 30 people involved. In Salisbury poisoning, Skripal, it's only 2 Russian involved.
Okay.
How stupid and how odd is the Saudi's intelligence? 20 to 30 people? No way.
Well,
I don't believe in that. I don't take it at all.
Okay, let's call now on the expertise of Chris here. I mean, now the Turkish authorities are saying that they're going to get access to the consulate in Istanbul, but it's 8 days later, maybe 9, they still haven't gone in. And they also asked for access to the residence of the general consul. At this stage, will they be able to find anything?
Well, of course, any investigation like this, the time is crucial. The earlier that you get access to a crime scene, whatever that crime is, whether or not it's an abduction or whether it's an assassination, we don't know yet, to be quite fair. But of course, the police need to get access to that, and whether it's forensics or other parts of the investigation, it's really important to get early access. Now, 8-9 days later, items could have been cleaned. The area could have been cleaned up, and it would be more difficult for them to get evidence. I think there's so much to this case that I don't think it could be more difficult for the Turkish authorities to conduct an investigation. It's in a location which is effectively another country, and what access they get, who are they allowed to get take into that building time will tell. But without the full forensic investigation, then we won't know. And as you say, time really matters, and evidence is lost over time.
Well, and Chris, when you read about all what's being reported these days, did anything really strike you, or any details strike you the most in all of this? Did anything maybe made your mind in one direction or the other?
No, well, the whole point of an investigation is that you keep your mind open, and it could, of course, be there could be lots of different stories around this. I imagine there's a lot that's known under the surface through intelligence agencies that's not being given to the media at the moment, and that will probably steer the authorities in one direction or another. I mean, none of us know. Without some evidence, none of us know. And all that we've got at the moment is a man has disappeared, and he's disappeared from inside an embassy, which is unprecedented. And you just wouldn't like to think that any country in the world would do something like that. But of course, you've got to keep your mind open. And, people die all the time. And if the investigation is allowed to go its course, then we will have a better chance of knowing what's happened.
OK. And Ali, I was watching you nod in disagreement earlier. What do you want to say?
I want to say that, the pictures of the 15 Saudis coming into Istanbul and that day is a fact. We have their pictures when they got into Turkey, when they get their visa, and we have their names of their passport. So we have those pictures, and we have their names on Saudi TV or in Saudi media, the same people, the same faces. 1 or 2 of them are members of MBS's personal royal guards. One of them, Zahrani, is his bodyguard.
Selected.
So
that's
what
right,
makes?
Yes.
So how can you have the bodyguard of MBS in Istanbul at that day, going into the embassy and leaving in these private jets that went to Riyadh via Egypt and UAE? These are facts. These are not fabrications. So what does that say to you? Why these people are there?
Okay,
What's fact? Their pictures are there. That I have looked at the pictures. I have looked at the airline or these 2 jets. I have records, companies who monitor the flight path of these 2 airplanes that are chartered by the Saudi Ministry of Defense, that HZKS-1 and HZKS-2. These are the plane, and we have videos of these planes. So this is an established fact. There's videos, pictures, names. This is a fact. And the man disappeared. That's a fact. So, I mean, how can you explain the presence of 15 Saudis in the consulate that day? What is the answer to that?
Okay.
The Saudis have kidnapped people before, and they have killed people inside the country. So let me finish. I didn't cut you off. So the Saudis did kidnap Nasser Said famously from Beirut, and his fate has never been known. He's probably killed, and they have assassinated. Saudi Arabia has a death squad that they have killed protesters, even young ones. So this is nothing new. Yes, because other countries like Iran and Israel and Syria does it. It's not. Saudi Arabia is not going to do it because it's a crazy idea. People do that. The thing is, the person who detains an elected head of a government, like Saad al-Hariri, I don't think this is beyond him to kill a dissident in the embassy, because sometimes power makes you do crazy things, and this is exactly what we are seeing. We have the mad king of Saudi Arabia making these decisions because he thinks he can do it without any repercussions, just like in the case of Hariri, and like the case of killing thousands of Yemenis and starving the entire population with no reaction from the international community.
Well, Sabah Al-Khozai, I know you disagree with what is being said, but there are certain facts here.
Completely.
The first fact is that Jamal Khashoggi left Saudi Arabia a year ago because he feared for his own safety, and he said it wasn't a place where you could speak your mind anymore. Another fact is that he entered that consulate shortly after 1 p.m. on October 2nd, and he never came out or was never seen after that. The Saudis are saying he came out from a back door, but why would he if his fiancée was waiting from the front and any visitor comes in and out from the front door?
This is naive, and this is primitive. Thinking. You can't say that everything is fact. You've seen the pictures, so it could be fabricated. Let me remind you my colleagues in London. You remember the Blair dossier back before the Iraq invasion, the 45 minutes attack. Saddam Hussein will attack Britain in 45 minutes. Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. Saddam Hussein has links with Al-Qaeda, and there's nothing there. So it's easy. It's easy to fabricate things. It's intelligence. This is one. The other thing, if you want to ask me, if you want to tell me that there are some in Saudi Arabia have done this before, no, this is not true. Please say the truth, okay? The truth is the only truth is Khashoggi, the poor Khashoggi is not there. The truth is Khashoggi is not there. He's been kidnapped from outside, not because he is dissident or he's against his government. No. The most important reason, there are many reasons. He is against, the militias of Iran in Syria. He is supporting the Saudi war against the outlawed Houthi in Yemen. The Saudi, and so he's always with his government. But the self-imposed exile in USA, that's fair enough. He's got very good friendship with His Excellency Amir Khalid, the ambassador of Saudi Arabia in USA, and he's got so many contacts with everybody in Saudi Arabia still till now. So there is no reason whatsoever to assassinate him or to terminate him or abduct him whatsoever. There is a conspiracy. He's been kidnapped from outside the embassy. He's been kidnapped.
So in your view, if he's been kidnapped from outside the embassy, by whom?
By the third party, as Akhtan says. A third party, the deep state. The deep state, he said it very clearly. Why don't take this as a fact? He said that the deep state, okay, and the other thing.
Okay, let me just bring in
most information.
Yeah, one second. I'm just going to want to bring in.
The most information came from his fiancée, and fiancée has got very suspicious contacts and links with top governments in Qatar, top government in Hamas, top governments in Oman, top governments in Turkey, and she's got so many relations, suspicious relations with the Brotherhood arenas in London.
Let me bring in Chris. I know it's all we are speculating here, but it is a fascinating story, if not grim somehow.
It's incredible.
So. You have this man who goes to the consulate to get a divorce certificate. Now, if we listen to what was leaked in the Turkish media, also in some of the US media, these 15 hit squad men are some of them are special forces, intelligence officers, National Guards, and a forensic expert. They come in with with vans, no luggage apparently, and they leave with luggage, and some of them head to the residence of the general consul. Now, in your view, if you were investigating this, what would be credible or not credible for you? And also, just a little detail, the consulate says that the CCTV cameras on that day didn't record anything. Is that plausible or not?
Well, I mean, all these things go towards circumstantial evidence that says something very unusual has happened. Of course, it doesn't mean to say he's been murdered and chopped up, as I think has been mentioned, and taken back to Saudi Arabia. It doesn't mean that, but it points in a direction, particularly as this has been announced. And I don't think you would announce something like this, certainly the Turkish government would announce something like this, if they didn't have some other information which is leading them in that direction. So I think in the fullness of time, we'll find out exactly what's happened. As I said, it's very difficult to conduct an investigation in an embassy because it is part of Saudi Arabia. So they don't have to supply access to any investigation team. But I think there'll be a lot more known about this, and I think that's what will come out bit by bit, as we've seen with the Russian Skripal attempted murders. Then information intelligence gets leaked out over the next few months and years, and we will eventually find this out. I think the chances of anything ever coming to a court case is pretty much zero. It's happened in an embassy anyway, so it'd be unprecedented for that to end up in a court case. But of course, it's really important, and it's important for the country, for the people, that we can't allow this sort of stuff to go on. If what we're saying has happened, then that just is not acceptable, and it needs to be stopped. And we seem to be moving into an era where countries are doing things really outrageous actions that we haven't seen for many years. So you know, there are other possibilities that could have happened, and the Istanbul, the Turkish police will want to investigate those, but getting access to the embassy is going to be impossible. But I would say there's other bits that might be useful as well. So any CCTV cameras of the area, not just attached to the embassy, there'll be other cameras about. CCTV cameras in the airports where they've been travelling through, and of course on the route as well. So there's lots of other evidence that can be collected, but the difficulties for the investigators are enormous.
Well, some CCTV footage has already been released, and it has to be said that the Saudis have agreed for a Turkish investigation team to go into the consulate building. Now, Al-Ahmed, just briefly, because we're going to reach the end of the program very soon, it's very difficult to reach any conclusions, but I think the bigger picture in all of this is that you have a Saudi regime at the moment who is not accepting any kind of critique, even though Jamal Khashoggi has always said that he was not in the opposition and he was not in the dissent camp. But it's a bit scary if any of this comes out to be true, that they could be so far-reaching.
Yeah, I think Jamal was a loyalist. He says that he has loyalty and allegiance to the king. He was critical of MBS, but this makes it even more dangerous for him because the MBS and the Saudi monarchy in general does not want to have or give ideas to its followers that they can defect or criticize, because if they don't send a strong message that you cannot do that and you will pay a heavy price if you do, then they will have a wave of defection. So that makes it more dangerous than being just a dissident like myself. And I was a target myself for abduction and other activities, hacking, spying, you name it. And the reality is, what I wanted to add is that I think the police, don't cut me off, behave, please. What
I didn't say anything.
The police should look at, I know they cannot go inside, behave, please. So is that they could look at refuse, the garbage. If you kill somebody, you need to put a huge piece of plastic, and that's very hard to get rid of plastic. So the plastic might have gone with the trash, with the garbage. You know, they can. In the case of Russia here, when they had to evacuate a consulate in San Francisco, they burned stuff. So if there is a fire in the fireplace, that will people in this time of the year, people will notice that there is a fire. They're burning plastic or something else. So these things have to look at that because they can find evidence. I think.
Well, now all eyes are on the investigation in Istanbul, but also everybody from the White House through the EU and around the world want to get more clarification from the Saudi government. That will probably take a few days, if not a few weeks to come. But we have reached the end of this show. So thanks to all our guests, Ali Al-Ahmed, Phillips, and Sabah Al-Khozai. And thank you too for watching. You can see the program again anytime by visiting our website, aljazeera.com. And for further discussion, go to our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/AJ Inside Story. You can also join the conversation on Twitter. Our handle is @AJ Inside Story. For me, Hoda Abdel-Hamid, and the whole team here in Doha, bye for now.